Madam President, I want to speak a little bit in detail on another projection or another direction we have on the student loan crisis, I guess. And it's a shame that we've come to this. A year ago, I voted for the extension. We were told at that time that because of the political atmosphere we had, an election of the president, big election year coming up, that we really couldn't get into the details and fix it the way it maybe needs to be fixed and should have been fixed back then. So a lot of us went ahead and voted for the extension, and we find ourselves in the same position this year as we were last year, and there'll be another election in 2014. So it seems like that we're always in an election cycle, and if we allow that to continue to direct what we do and how we do it, then we get very little done here, which is what I think the public's getting frustrated with. So a few of us got together, myself, and we got with Senator Alexander, we got with Senator Carper, Senator King, and decided that maybe we could come together and work on something. There's no perfect fixes for anything here that I found. And this is such a complicated, and it's very confusing to a lot of people if you don't delve into it. And so I started looking into it more this year than I had before. I think a lot of our colleagues and a lot of people in the country believe that the so-called doubling of the rates that went from 3.4 to 6.8, that everybody's rates had doubled. First of all, there were just a few or small percentage of the loans that we loan out were even getting advantage at 3.4 that we extended. 75% of the loans, 75% of the money out there is at the higher rate of 6.8 or above. And I tried to understand the best that I could all different aspects of the loans we have out there. We have the subsidized loans. Because of family income and participation, you're able to get a subsidized loan. What that really means, and I think if you break it down, the first year that you qualify for a subsidized loan, you can borrow up to $3,500. Now, $3,500 in today's higher education world doesn't go very far. You're also allowed to borrow $2,000 of unsubsidized. That means you would have been paying 3.4% on the $3,500, 6.8% on the unsubsidized. So as you can see, it's not all clear cut. So then on the second year, you can borrow $4,500 subsidized and $2,000 unsubsidized. It goes to $5,500 and it stays at $5,500 your fourth year. The thing that happens is the unsubsidized loans, if you're looking at the unsubsidized loans, at 6.8%, they're staying. Now, we've had some say it's better to leave it alone, do nothing, let it go ahead and double at 6.8 and leave it where it is. We've worked out, and along the lines of the president put in a proposal. Also, we had the so-called House Republican proposal. Our proposal is much different. This is not a Republican piece of legislation or a Democrat. It's a bipartisan piece that we've looked at all aspects of what we have to deal with in today's market. July 1st is when the rates went up. If we're able to come to agreement this week or maybe the first of next week, we can retroactively bring those back. So when you go to school this fall, you'll know exactly what your rates are being. We've come to where we've had a bipartisan agreement that those rates could be 3.66%, and that's for all undergraduates. So if you're getting a subsidized loan and you're getting a unsubsidized loan, you would have, if the one-year extension goes, it's 3.4 and 6.8. Under our proposal, everything's at 3.66. 3.66. That'll save about $9 billion this year in interest that you would be responsible for paying. $9 billion for the youth of this country trying to get higher education. If we just do the one-year extension, which my colleagues on my side of the aisle, the Democrat side of the aisle, that's only a savings of $2 billion. There's a $7 billion savings up and beyond what the one-year extension would do. We're just dealing with the facts we have in front of us here. So we keep looking at all the different things, and people are talking about that. Let's say that you're going to a graduate unsubsidized Stafford loan, a graduate unsubsidized Stafford loan, which many people get in graduate school. Right now, a graduate is 6.8%. Under our proposal, that goes to 5.21%. If you have the PLUS loan, that's parents and graduate students, that loan today, you're paying 7.9%, and you've been paying 7.9%. Our bill takes that to 6.21. And as you can see, the savings there, someone says, well, the interest rates will go up after 3 or 4 years, and then you'll be at a higher rate. We put also the same as in the law right now, 8.25% cap. So at any time, if your rates, so when you lock this rate in, you borrow money this year at 3.66%, that's locked in for the life of the loan. That's what you pay for the money you borrowed this year for the life of that loan until you pay it back. Next year, it could be 4.5. It could go up. You can have inflation. When I was in school, and then later on, inflation kicked up 16, 17%. Outrageous. What we've been able to come to agreement with in this body, in the Senate, Republicans and Democrats have come to an agreement that we don't think at all the policy of this country should be that we should make a profit on the loans that students are receiving to educate themselves, to have a better quality of life and opportunity. We've come to that agreement. That's not the bill we got from the House. They wanted to use profits to pay down debt. Now, I understand there's a lot more that needs to be done on the profit end of it and how we get to the true profit, the true cost. And Madam President, you've been working hard on that, and I'm willing to work with you very hard on that. But what we have in front of us today, we've come to that agreement that we're not going to make any profit that will go to debt reduction. The profit, basically, if there's a so-called profit, it should go to reduce the rates to give you the lowest rate that we possibly can offer. And that's what we've agreed on. We've agreed on fixing the rates for the life of the loan. That's not what came from the House. We agreed to do that. So when I say it's a bipartisan bill, these are things that we're agreeing on that makes a better piece of legislation that we have. There's people saying, yeah, but 4 years from now, it might go up higher than that, than 6.8. Well, let me say that 3 years, 3 to 4 years that we know that we're going to have tremendous savings, there's a difference. There's a difference of $36 billion versus maybe $8 billion if you just keep extending 1 year at a time. $2 billion savings here, $9 billion savings here. 4 nines is 36, 4 twos is 8. It's not hard to do the math here. And they talk about a comprehensive education bill. I pray to God that we can get a comprehensive education bill. But I'm not sure that the American public believes that we're able to get any type of a consensus on any comprehensive bill. We haven't as of yet. I've been here. When I first got here, they told me that, you know, we're trying to get our house in order, financial house. And then we had the sequestering coming at us. And the sequester basically was a penalty that we voted on because no one would ever think that we would let it get that draconian to the point where we couldn't come to an agreement. And we'd have to have this type of a punishment put on ourselves. We thought that would happen. So we put a super committee together. The super committee was put together for a purpose of basically getting a super deal that we could get our financial house in order. It wasn't that super. It didn't work. So then the sequester kicks in. And the draconian cuts across the board. You don't run your life that way. You don't run your businesses that way, whether they're small or large. You don't cut everything. You have your basically your priorities and necessities that you have to maintain in your life on a daily basis. You have excesses you can do without. So you kind of make adjustments and you pick and choose. That's not working right now. And what's happening is that people are suffering needlessly because we cannot come to an agreement to get our financial house, to find a budget that works for this country, to find a tax system that's fair and equitable that people believe in. We haven't been able to do that. But we're being told, let's go ahead and extend the 3.4% for the smallest portion of the amount of loans that we loan out, and everyone else pay the higher rate. I'm not willing to do that. I think we can do better. I think we are better than that on both sides of the aisle. And chastising each other and saying one's wants to raise rates and one's insensitive towards students and it's a Republican or Democrat plan doesn't fix anything around here. It hasn't since I've been here, and I don't think it's going to. It will if we put our country first. And we know one thing, by putting our country first, we put our students first. Without an educated populace, we have nothing. We can't compete in the world of economics. We can't compete in the world of science and technology. We just can't. So the best investment that we can make is in our youth. The best investment you can make. The best investment you can make is in education. You might buy a car and think, oh, that's a great investment. You might buy a piece of property, that's a great investment, or a house. The best investment you'll ever make is in your education. We want to make it as affordable and doable as humanly possible. And that's what we've worked together. We've worked together with myself and my colleagues on a bipartisan basis. we're hoping that we can find. And if we can find common ground, and if it basically is putting a cap, and we've talked about a cap. The caps are inherently built in. Let's say this. Let's say that you graduate and get a degree, but you find a job that pays $40,000, which is not a lot in today's market for the money you've invested. And you get married and have a child or two. The system we have built in right now, you only pay 15% of your disposable income. That breaks down to about $142 a month that you will pay on your student loan to make it affordable. And if you're unable to pay that off, at the end of 25 years, it's exonerated and wiped out. Pell Grants, I don't need to tell you about a Pell Grant. If a person's in need because of their income, they can get up to $5,645 a year free. Those are grants that we give out, Pell Grants, which are excellent, helping students that just don't have an opportunity or chance, with any support from their family, to be able to go to higher education. We do that. And we're doing an awful lot of things that we do to help. But the bottom line is we've come to an agreement that it shouldn't be subsidized, and there shouldn't be a profit made, and it should be affordable, and it has to be run efficiently. So I would hope that people would look. I think the $36 billion of savings over 4 years is pretty substantial compared to us doing nothing. And saying to leave the rates, let them go at 6.8, it's better off, I think they're misinformed. I don't think that they've been told the facts or the truth. So what we're asking for is basically a level playing field, looking at what we can do, something positive, getting more groups to sit down sincerely and working towards what I think is going to be a good outcome, a good process here. Extending what we have doesn't work. Not being able to come together to make sure that our loans are affordable is not acceptable. And I think if we continue to strive to work towards finding a reasonable outcome, that we will be able to succeed. So with that, I said that tomorrow we will have a vote on this, and there'll be more discussions about student loans. The bottom line is that we want rates to come down for everybody. Every student in every category should have the benefit of a lower rate with the lower rates that are available to the public today. So with that, Madam President, I yield the floor.